it all behind you. I said, take down everything that stands in your way. Don't stop believing it'll work out again, my friend. Stand out and be a part of everything good. Wake up, you're gonna be all that you should. Try out all the things you always wanted to be. You'll see, 'cause I know what I know, that you've got it in you, and I see that you are a winner.
Found out some things about him. I don't know if you can see this groove right here down his back, and there's a little, it rises up on either side. That means that Syngen is overweight. Not horribly overweight. They said he's about a 4, and ideal is about a 3, whatever the hell that means. So this guy, despite the fact that Sissy, his cage mate, who's probably more like a 5 instead of a 3, has a tendency to eat his rats, he manages to still be a little bit overweight. Anyway, I'm in the process of doing a bunch of stuff, and I'm hoping to soon have these guys in a proper cage, a proper environment for them. It all depends on... This is a random video, by the way. If you haven't seen one of these before, you'll understand. This is what I call stream of conscious. Whatever pops into my head kind of comes out, okay? And in the meantime, we wrangle the serpent here. Yeah, he has an upper respiratory infection. They think he's probably had it since I've had him to some degree, which is interesting because, see, I just switched topics completely, but this is how it works with these kind of videos. People have seen him on video before and have asked me, oh, you know, it sounds like he might have upper respiratory infection, and I've been like, well, I don't think so. It's just him hissing. Well, some of it might be hissing, but he does have upper respiratory infection. At Bridges, where I got him, he was with another snake named Annie who had chronic upper respiratory infection. And he might have had it since I brought him home. And anyway, it's just been around for a while. So now he's in treatment for it. Another thing you can find, this is information for people who have snakes now. Gosh, he's just not sitting still. He's got a lot of energy. When I started him on the shots a week ago, he was completely lethargic and he wasn't moving at all. He was just pretty much hanging, you know, just very still, and that's one sign of when you have a snake with infection. Luckily, he wasn't so bad that there was no bubbles in his mouth when he opened his mouth and you looked in his throat. There was no bubbles. There was no bubbles from his nose. He didn't have any pus in his mouth. These are things that happen in more advanced upper respiratory infection. But he did have down his belly, the belly part of him had a pinkish tone. That is a sign that the infection has gotten into his bloodstream. Also, he had little red speckles on his underside. Again, a sign that the infection was in his bloodstream. So, the fact that he's perked up so much, he's had 4 shots so far, is a good sign. They haven't called me back yet to tell me if. Oh my gosh, he's so strong. And he's 15 pounds. I found out he's 15 pounds. Sissy's 45, so that's how much difference in size they are. Anyway, they haven't called me back yet to tell me if the I wish you could see this. He's nuzzling my arm. The antibiotic that they sent me home with is going to work or not, but the fact that he has become so much more responsive and perky and interested in his surroundings, I would say it's probably the right medication. I'm very happy to see him doing better, and he's not crackling or wheezing in his throat as much. He was kind of making little whistling noises when he breathed, which is probably what other people heard of than I heard, and I said, oh no, that's just hissing. Well, that's what happens when you're a novice with snakes, but I'm learning stuff as I go. And okay, so actually this video has more, well, the point of this video has nothing to do with snakes, but I wanted to clarify my video that I made last night. Muslim says, of course, apostate should be killed, part 2. I get off a little bit at the end and I say this cult needs to be eradicated from the face of the earth. I believe that both Christianity and Islam are a huge harm against humanity in general, and I think they need to be eradicated from the face of the earth. Well, I had some guy tell me, well, you're crazy. One minute you're saying that killing is wrong, and then you're saying that all Muslims should be killed. He took off all his notes too, which, by the way, I did not block him. He seems to have voluntarily, his name is Barrera40, seems to have voluntarily removed himself from my channel and deleted his posts, which is fine with me. I didn't really appreciate his posts. Especially the one that says if you don't respect Jesus, you should leave, whatever, bullshit. But yeah, he said that, oh, you know, one minute you're saying killing is wrong, and the next minute you're saying kill Muslims. I never said in that video to kill Muslims. I go on to say that the only way to resist, to fight, to oppose this cult is to point out the absurdities. I think I make it very clear that I don't really agree with killing people. I also don't really get into the subject in depth. I'm talking about something completely different. I'm talking about the insanity here that this guy is going through all these things trying to... Here's Syngen. See, you gotta have the snake every now and then. There he is. Going through all these whatevers trying to justify killing. Like, it's almost like there's this rabid fervor in his article to... What is it? Why are we even discussing killing people? Why are we writing a whole article about killing people? To me, that in itself is highly suspect of a sick mind. And then coming up with whatever justification we can. I get the impression from this cult in general that killing, maiming, and torturing people is something they have this hunger to do. They look for reasons to do it. But anyway, I have, on the subject of killing people, again, that wasn't really the point of the video, whether or not he's wrapping himself around the chair now. Syngen. Okay. Okay. It's hard to talk and wrangle a snake and wear a stupid hat all at the same time. Yeah, he's definitely got more energy. What was I saying? Oh, the subject of the video isn't my feelings about the death penalty. It's about killing innocent people is wrong. And maybe I need to qualify that when I say killing people is wrong. Killing innocent people is wrong, okay? Maybe I need to go back and remake my video, and every time I say killing is wrong, I need to put the word innocent people. I'm sorry, people who don't believe in a God anymore, or people who are unable to believe in their whatever cult, prominent majority cult in their area anymore, they are still innocent people. Just because they can't believe in something doesn't make them criminals. They don't deserve to die. They're innocent people who are being honest about what they believe and don't believe. Just like people who, I'm sorry, it is very bad to cheat on your spouse. It's very bad. It's betrayal of a you know, a personal vow with somebody else. But that's a personal thing between the two people involved. It is not a crime. Adultery is not a crime. It is simply a bad thing to do to somebody. It's a betrayal. It is not a crime. Only in religion is something like that a crime. So I don't believe that adulterers are criminals either, and they don't deserve to die. I don't believe that thieves deserve to have their hands cut off. People steal. You know, there's actually people, kleptomania, I think, is that the word? Maybe that's people who are kleptomania. I think that's what it is. I'm trying to, there's also people who are, I'm thinking hypochondriacs that imagine that they're sick all the time. But I think kleptomania is somebody who steals habitually. That's a kind of illness, a kind of mental illness. Do you cut somebody's hand off for a mental illness, for being mentally ill? People steal for lots of reasons. People steal just because they're kids. And maybe they're dared. Or maybe they're in it for the thrill. Because that's what kids do. Kids are into stuff like that. Or they steal because they're hungry. They steal out of desperation. They steal because they can't find money. They can't earn a living, and they're trying to survive. Stealing is wrong. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Stealing is wrong, but the point is, there's usually a reason people steal, some kind of reason hinged on a desire to survive. You know, if you can't survive in the legal way, if you can't survive and living by the rules, you know, I don't know. I just think that chopping somebody's hand off for stealing is a really barbaric thing to do. People do have bad judgments, make mistakes. People learn from their mistakes. I think having their hand cut off is extremely barbaric and extreme. I don't agree with it. I think any cult that... I'm sorry, I just totally don't agree with it. I don't agree with flogging people, whipping people. I mean, we don't live in the Dark Ages anymore. You don't beat people. And sometimes those beatings kill. Sometimes those beatings are so traumatic to the person that they go into shock and they die. This is wrong. You shouldn't kill people. Okay, well, you shouldn't kill innocent people. I have really mixed feelings about the death penalty. When I was a Christian, I was pro the death penalty. I was. I think something about being religious makes people more, I don't know, desensitizes people to the value of life a little bit, being religious, because you think you're going to live forever, and you think this life is just a little tiny chapter in this great big thing. So you think, oh, it's perfectly okay to kill somebody who has committed a horrific crime. You know, it's a valid punishment, and then they're going to go to live in this eternal life thing and probably be suffering forever in hell. I don't know. I don't see life that way. I see life as this short little moment that we each have, and it's very precious in the fact that there's so little life out there in the universe. You know, mostly the universe is lifeless. Here we have this little tiny island where life thrives, and it's amazingly unlikely that it is here, but here it is. And to me, it just seems like killing people. I don't know. I just have different feelings about the death penalty than I used to. I do think that sometimes, unfortunately, it is still a necessity. I think that, honestly, the guy who was a Green River Killer, who didn't get it, by the way, and that's the other thing. The states are so unfair about how they deal out justice, and you know, in some states, if you kill or rape a child, you might be out on the street in a couple of years. Whereas in some other state, you could be caught with marijuana and they'll put you away for life. It's ridiculous how totally topsy-turvy they come up with. That's a really stupid saying, but inconsistent the punishments are. So in one state, if you kill somebody, you might get the death penalty. In another state, you might be out in 9 years, 10 years. So I think something is really wrong with our legal system in general. But killing somebody is forever. You can't bring them back once it's done. Do I think Ted Bundy deserved the death penalty? I do. Do I think the guy who was a Green River Killer deserved the death penalty? Yes. He didn't get it though. Why not? He killed more people than Ted Bundy did. And he didn't get the death penalty because they decided they wanted to study him. Is that fair? And yet, this guy who killed how many people who didn't get the death penalty, somebody else who killed one person in some state might get the death penalty for that. It's like, where's the fairness in our legal system? And that's why I think I have a problem with the death penalty in general. Because somebody is going to be killed for killing so-and-so. And over here in this state, somebody killed 40 people and he's allowed to live. Where is the justice? I think that there are people that can't be reintroduced into society because they're just not rehabilitatable. There's a word, and I don't know what it is. They can't be rehabilitated. I don't know. I look stupid in this hat. We're having a serious conversation, and I'm wearing this hat. I just found it. I got it last year. They were giving these things out for free, and I'm like, oh, this is stupid. I think I'll wear it. But yeah, it's just that it's a permanent thing. And some people, I know that I'm not the same person that I was even 8 years ago. I'm not the same person. People learn, people grow, people change. I don't think anybody can say that they're the same person that they were 10 years ago. And a lot of these people that are killed for their crimes sit in prison for 10, 15, 20 years before they're killed. And they literally do become different people in all that time. They change. They gain wisdom and perception and whatever. And maybe at the time they were incarcerated, nobody could imagine that they could ever be useful members of society, but 20 years later, maybe they can be. I hate to think of anybody as being hopeless. On the other hand, part of me is like, well, they killed somebody horribly, and that person didn't have a choice. That person wasn't given a break. That person lost their life because of the cruelty of this killer. Why should we give the killer any more consideration? And then I'm like, well, killing the killer, does that bring the victim back? Does it really bring closure to the family? Does it make the family feel better? I really do. I have very mixed feelings about the death penalty. Part of me thinks that it's necessary sometimes, but sometimes I feel like, we're supposed to be evolved beings. Or, isn't that kind of the goal? Do evolved beings kill each other? Is there no other way? A lot of it's about, well, we don't want to waste money on keeping these people alive for the rest of their lives in prison. It costs a lot of money to kill people. Either way, you're spending a lot of money on people that are broken, and that's what they are. They're broken. They're broken for whatever reason. They're broken because of mental illness. They're broken because of how they were brought up, their environment, how they were brought up. They're broken because maybe they were dropped on their heads when they were children, or there's something wrong with their brain. A lot of times, it's just something is just even your typical murderer. And the doctor checks him out and decides he's not really mentally ill. I'm sorry, you have to be a sociopath to kill somebody, to have no conscience whatsoever. I am willing to bet that most murderers are sociopaths. I'm thinking what it's called, anti-personality disorder is the newest term for it. People born without a conscience, is that something they can help? That makes them very dangerous. Kind of like pit bulls, are dangerous. They can be dangerous, except that's a bad analogy because pit bulls are what they are made to be. You can have a super sweet dog if it's loved, its whole life, or you can have a vicious dog if somebody wants a vicious dog. Anyway, this video is all over the place. I'm sorry. This is, like I said, a stream of conscious video. I don't agree that it's right to kill innocent people. I think the rest of it, the killing people who have committed a horrific crime, that's a gray area that I haven't sorted out yet exactly what I think about that. It's not like I used to. I used to be a staunch supporter of the death penalty when I was a Christian. Now I feel like I look at it like, wow, life is so precious, and and we are flawed mortal creatures. We are the product of our environment and how the circumstances that we were brought up. Now Syngen is sitting still. He's sitting here like, okay, now what? He's actually out of his cage because he's going to get his shot. More information, if you're giving a snake a shot, you give it to them in the front part of their body, not the back part, because it has something to do with the organs in the various places in the body. So yeah, front part of the snake is where you give it to them. Give it to them on the side where the flesh feels kind of squishy. And it's incredibly easy to give a snake a shot. I was afraid of doing it. It's really easy. But he's doing better. I know what I was going to say. This is, again, I think I'm going to get off the subject now of the death penalty. I think I said what I wanted to say. To clarify, my video, I did not mean to imply that Muslims should be eradicated from the face of the earth. I never said that. I said the cult needs to be. And the way I then go on to qualify that by saying the way that needs to be done is we need to point out how absurd it is. The absurdities, the wrongfulness of the kind of thinking it produces. That's how you oppose something. You don't... It's funny when religious people hear words like eradicate or obliterate or whatever, they think of mass murder. They immediately think of genocide because that's what they worship. They worship a genocidal monster. I can say the word eradicate and not mean killing people, not mean killing anybody. I think the cult needs to be eradicated. It needs to be opposed and fought until it's gone. The way to do that is point out the absurdities. You know? If they don't hear any message but what they want to hear, they're never going to learn. They're always going to think that, if you can make a religious person think twice or 3 times about how they come across and how they sound and how they think, that's I think, far more positive thing. You don't want to... The idea is not to kill people. The idea is to make people aware of what they sound like. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror, Christian. Look in the mirror, Muslim. You guys are sitting around talking about when it's okay to kill. No, it's not okay to kill. It's not okay to kill innocent people just because they don't believe what you do. That's not right. Okay, now, I was going to talk about the snake and then I'll be done. More about the snake. There's a chance that my whole court thing with Swedish might end up in settlement. There's a chance. And if it does, I'll know in the next couple weeks. And if that happens, one of the things I found a thing online. I think it's Monster Cage or something like that. Actually, I think it's on my phone. I found a website online that makes snake cages for a rather reasonable price. Instead of several $1,000s, they make enclosures for about $500. And I'm thinking, if I get, and this is for something that's 8 feet long, I believe it's like 2 feet wide. It's a good size enclosure, and it's professionally made. I'm thinking if I get the settlement, it's not a lot of money. If it happens, it's not a lot of money. It's not going to solve all my problems. It will help me pay off some bills, basically. But one of the things I will do is I will get a proper cage for my boa constrictors. They will be taken out of the bird aviary that I've modified into an enclosure, and they'll be put in a proper environment for boa constrictors. That will be something that I do. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to handle an 8-foot enclosure when it comes to my doorstep, but I'm hoping it's partially disassembled so I can assemble it inside. And it might not be 8 feet, it might be 6 feet. It depends on how much room I can find in my house. But yes, for those people who are unhappy that Syngen and Sissy are in a crappy cage, that's hopefully going to be changing very soon. And that's partially why I think he has the upper respiratory infection has never gone away. It's just not the right environment for them. I do have a humidifier. I do have 2 heating pads. The floor is wood. There's the lizard carpet. Although I've read that shredded newspaper is actually best for boa constrictors. So in the new environment, they will probably have a different kind of substrate on the bottom of their cage. So yeah, weird video, isn't it? It's like let's bounce back and forth between snakes and probably any snake people who are into snakes aren't going to make it this far in the video to get to me talking about getting a different enclosure. But oh well, who cares? This kind of video I just do for, because I got a lot to say. Here's Syngen again. He's not been in the video very much. He's been hugging me. And this is the eye that shed. The other eye has not shed. Yeah, when he shedded, I'd say half of his body was not shed. That was the other reason that I knew he was really sick, was when they are not shedding right. That's a sign. You know, I think I have videos earlier on my channel when I first started getting into snakes, and I'm talking about Syngen's problems with shedding. He's had problems with shedding also since I got him. They kind of went away and now they're back. And that's another sign that you have an animal that doesn't feel well, is they don't shed right. Also means that there's not enough humidity in the cage, so we've upped the humidity even more. And you know, I do what I can. People are like, you shouldn't have snakes if you don't have a proper enclosure. The problem with that is people don't want these big snakes. People who have these big snakes, when I say big, these are not really big compared to reticulated pythons. These are just little snakes, but to me they're big. They had a boa constrictor baby at the pet store where I go, and he was gone within a week. Anna is for sale. She's a 10-foot long female. They're selling her for $2.99. She's been on sale for almost a year now. There's not a lot of people that want to take on a big snake like that. So saying, well, you know, you shouldn't have a snake. Well, yeah, probably not, because I don't have the right environment. But when I got them, I had in mind, as soon as I could get the right environment for them, I would. And now I finally have that ability. So I think it's better to have, if you can try to give the snake the best you can until you can, you know, get what they need. And that's what I've been doing. And it's better than the little cages that they're in the pet store. You know, it might not be the ideal cage, but it's better than the little cages they are in the pet store. So that's me saying in my own defense, but yeah, definitely they deserve better, and they're going to be getting it soon. And this is a random, now I'm just blah, 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 so I'm going to end this video. Hopefully I explained what I think about killing people in general and the death penalty. Completely unrelated to the snake and his situation, but I wanted to give people an update on Syngen here, who I love it. He is so much more active and alert than he was a week ago. That's a good sign. So anyway, if you've been watching, thank you. Oh, Syngen, gotta say goodbye. Say goodbye. Ah, okay, bye.
I am absolutely convinced that the main source of hatred in the world is religion. And I think it should be religion treated with ridicule and hatred and contempt.
Share the same weather, winter or summer, May or September, the 4th of whenever. It's better together. Let's get together. Home is where